This episode of Trial by Stone is brought to you by Dream Fasting, the Dark Crystal Experience, a Facebook group for all discussions about the Dark Crystal. To join the group, just search on Facebook for Dream Fasting, the Dark Crystal Experience.
Another world, another time, in the age of wonder.
You are listening to
Trial by Stone.
Trial by Stone!
Trial by Stone!
This is what I came for.
Your vital essence, the Dark Crystal.
I can feel something. Hear it almost.
Don't move.
Don't move? Where would I go?
Quiet!
And here's your hosts, Philip Mitchell and Bland Garrett. Hello and welcome to Trial by Stone, and this is episode 28 of Trial by Stone, the Dark Crystal podcast for October 2016. All right, and we've been getting some more stuff coming about the Dark Crystal, and first I'll introduce my co-host, Bland.
Hello. I'm really enjoying being a part of the podcast. Been getting a lot of feedback from listeners, and it's great to be a part of it.
So on this month's show, we'll be chatting to some of the fan filmmakers who went to the Jim Henson Company. That was sort of part of the event that they organised for a gathering of all the fan filmmakers from the winner and the runners-up, and as well as the honourable mentions that attended the event. So we'll be chatting to them very shortly in the Podling Village. But at first, we'll go to the news, and I guess the big thing that sort of happened recently was Funko.
Well, we finally got the mock-up of the the Garthim and Winged Kira box set that's going to be at New York Comic Con, and that's October 6th through the 9th. And it's going to be limited to 500 pieces, but that still doesn't mean that it won't be at Toys R Us or another retailer.
I know. Yeah, because I know there's been some speculation on whether it is actually going to come to Toys R Us, and I believe you sent a message to a representative from Funko about that.
Yes, they did get back to me. They said that as of now, it's only been announced as an exclusive for New York Comic Con. But if I wanted to, follow them on Twitter or join their mailing list, there may be an announcement in the future of other retailers that might have it. Well, it's still kind of vague in my opinion, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be at Toys R Us. I mean, there's no way that they're going to put this out and not let fans or other collectors get their hands on this. Because, I mean, that's just, to me, that would just be like a big old kick in the face or kick in the butt.
Yeah, I think it'd be a bit of a surprise, I guess, because, I mean, they did release the Jen and Landstrider figurine as a summer convention exclusive, for Toys R Us or any of those specialty shops overseas, of course.
And they didn't announce Toys R Us as the retailer until like the day before San Diego Comic Con. So there's a chance that it's still going to be available, and they are popping up on eBay, and they are up there like the Landstrider was at first. They're like $150 or so, and there hasn't been as many as the Landstrider. I don't know if Funko kind of waited this long to reveal the pictures and the announcement and whatnot of it, just to kind of keep that to a minimum, because the Landstrider set did go crazy on eBay before San Diego Comic Con. So hopefully it won't be too expensive. Hopefully, well, if you want the one with the sticker, because that's really, again, that's the only thing that's collectible about it is the sticker, if it's available at a retailer.
Yeah, so I think it's just going to be a wait and see. But I'm probably by the time the episode's out, that they'll be out by now. At the New York Comic Con, but yeah, we are as of now recording this and late September. We certainly hope that it'll come out at Toys R Us. So, but if it does, we'll definitely post it up on the Trial by Stone Dark Crystal podcast page.
And the digital mock-up of this is, I love it. I mean, I think this looks great. It's a closed mouth fizz gig. The Garthim looks really neat. Kira, her wings are a little bit translucent, so I think it looks great. Shortly after the Garthim mock-up, digital mock-up was released on the Funko site, the online retailers just a couple of days ago, or I think just yesterday, from the time that we're recording this, they have released the digital mock-ups of the 5 other figures. So we get to look at that, and you can pre-order them now. There's a lot of different online stores. We'll have links in the show notes, but I know Entertainment Earth is one. Big Bad Toy Store is another. Right now, I would avoid Amazon because they are extremely overpriced. I double checked on Amazon to see what was going on there, and I mean they're charging double the suggested retail, and what the other online stores are selling them for. So we have Kira, no wings, but she does have an open mouth fizz gig. We have Algra, who comes with her device, her seal, or her little triangular device that she carries. There's Jen with the shard. And then we have Skeksil the Chamberlain with a Hoxkika sword, a Trial by Stone sword. And then we have his counterpart, Ursol the Mystic, and he has his staff. Each of these, Jen comes with the crystal base, and then the other 4 figures each come with a piece of the crystal. And when you collect them all, they piece together to make a dark crystal. So, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, with these figures, you sort of got to collect them all to build the dark crystal, that sort of thing. So no, which is really cool. And yeah, just seeing, because even myself, I must admit I was really surprised to see, the mock-ups, but also a release date. Not a definitive release date, but I think at the moment it's looking like it'll be towards the end of October is when they'll plan to release all the remaining figurines for the Dark Crystal as part of the Reaction figures lineup. So which is really good, because I really anticipated this to be sort of an early next year 35th anniversary of the Dark Crystal, to promote that marketing spin towards it, or so I was just really surprised at how quick it was going to be.
Yeah, they just popped up, and I saw October, I've seen November, I've seen October 31st. So I would say towards the end of October, probably the early part of November, they'll be ready. The Jen, Kira, and Algra are all going to be around $9 to $10, and then the Mystic and the Skeksis are both $15 a piece. So, like I said, I wouldn't pay more than that unless you're having trouble finding them. Some of those online retailers, you can pay an extra fee, like about $2, to actually make sure that you get a mint quality figure. And those stores are really good about doing that, because they know that they're, collectors have their standards. And if you pay a couple extra bucks, I think it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, definitely. We've got pictures of it on the Trial by Stone Dark Crystal podcast page, so definitely check that out. So overall, it's just very exciting, and looking forward to what, when we finally get our hands on them,
Yes.
on these reaction figures.
Oh,
so,
I can't wait.
Yeah, very exciting times.
A full set would run you around $60 US. So if you're going to buy two, that's 120. Of course, I'm going to buy two because they are blistered. So I want one mint and one to play with, or one to display.
Yeah, like I think for myself, yeah, like I'll probably will end up getting two of them, but I think like for now I'll probably get like the first main set when they're out, and then probably buy another set down the track. Yeah, I'd be curious how much they will cost when they come out in Australia, because I know they usually are a little bit pricey. So I'm sort of anticipating that they'll probably be maybe maximum probably 130. But it'll be interesting. It's a wait and see, because I know even with the Jen and Landstrider figurine, that was 50 Australian dollars. And I'm predicting that might be the case with the Garthim and Kira and the closed mouth Fizzgig set. So it'll just be interesting to see. But I think it's awesome that we're going to get these figurines, and I mean, who knows? I mean, they might be releasing them now just to sort of see, just to get them out there, and who knows what they might, they could potentially do for the 35th anniversary, whether they decide to, expand the line with these reaction figurines, or even the pop vinyls as well.
Right, and these do go along with the original line that was canceled from Hasbro and Aviva. They have the similar packaging with Jen on the crystal. And then their original concept was that they all came with a piece of the crystal, and you could piece it together to make the dark crystal. So that's all original to the original idea.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So, and I think
But
go ahead.
Well, they did have a pod slave and a pod peasant in the original line, which Funko Reaction didn't do. So if they do expand it, then hopefully, maybe they'll have a separate Landstrider or a separate Garthim, and then they'll have podlings and maybe an Urskek, or, maybe they'll do characters that weren't in the original line. So
I would think probably the only other idea I could think of is maybe Skekang with the other the sword.
Oh yeah, and then maybe have like a Hoxkika stone or something.
Yes, yeah, yeah. I thought that'd be pretty neat.
Even maybe a crystal bat or something,
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of. I don't know if they've ever done. I mean, they have got a Fizzgig, a really small one. I think the crystal bats, I reckon, that'd have to be bundled up with something. Probably either the Garthim or
Skekzok, the ritual master.
Ah, yes, yeah. That could work out. Yeah. So it's exciting. So
well, another thing that happened, the Dark Crystal Steelbook was released in the UK. I will have to admit that the digital mock-up was a lot more impressive, but at the same time, I still think it's a beautiful collectible. It's the same Blu-ray as the previous Blu-ray release, but the packaging, you've got the nice tin. I did notice that the inside image of Skekzok and the other Skeksis around the crystal is actually the same interior image that was on previous Blu-rays, which I had never noticed before, which I recently just got a Blu-ray player, so I've been opening that one up and sticking it in. And
yeah. So have you started watching the Dark Crystal on Blu-ray yet, or
Not yet. I do have my TVs are still kind of outdated. I do have an HD TV. It's an HD flat screen TV, but it's still a tube TV. So it's one of the early flat screen HD TVs. But I originally had it's a PlayStation 3. I originally had it on an older TV, tube TV, that I do all my video gaming on, because it still works with the light gun from the original NES. But I moved it over to the HD TV, and it looks a lot better. So I am eventually going to watch that.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, just be interested to hear, your thoughts on, watching on the Blu-ray the first time. So that might be something for a future episode that will, maybe chat about the Blu-ray and I guess the potential of what may come with a future Ultra HD release of the Dark Crystal, if it ever does happen.
The 4K. Of course,
the 4K.
My issue with that is not only do you have to have an Ultra HD Blu-ray player, but you also have to have a 4K TV in order to actually see it in 4K. Of course, if you have an HD TV and you are watching a 4K Blu-ray, it does send it out in the standard HD TV kind of format. So you do need the television in order to actually watch it in 4K. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I think I've sort of been thinking about getting a 4K TV down the track. And I think one of the main reasons would be either the Dark Crystal or of course Star Wars, which I'm sure will get a 4K release down the track. So that'll be sort of waiting for those sort of announcements to be made, and then I'll probably sort of get a 4K TV and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Well, there's also the Labyrinth 4K, which I believe is getting ready to be released or has already been released. I'm not sure which. I know that the new Blu-ray just came out on the 20th of September, but I'm not sure about the 4K release.
Yeah, I was just going to have a quick look on. What on the internet.
Oh yeah.
Hang on.
And while you're doing that, I will mention that the 30th anniversary of Labyrinth on the big screen was amazing.
Yes, you had a chance to check it out on the big screen. Yeah,
it was so nice. They did. They had little trivia questions on the big screen while we were waiting for the movie to start, and then they had. I believe that it's just footage from the 30th anniversary Blu-ray, but it was Cheryl Henson and Brian Henson and some others. They did behind the scenes, showed some behind the scenes of the filming and whatnot, and then they had this really nice video of the Center for Puppetry Arts and the Dark Crystal and Labyrinth display that's there, which was really nice to see that footage and actually seeing it on the big screen as well. And then watching the film, it was so great. And there were some little kids in front of me that were kind of running around, and I did kind of give them a little shush at one time. But for the most part, the audience was really nice. I know that during the little intro film, someone quoted a line behind me, and I turned around and said, "Get it out of your system now," because when I go to movies, I don't deal with all that. You better have your cell phone off and you better have your mouth shut, because I will get up and I will say something.
Yeah.
Everyone
happened. Yeah, I was to say, that has happened to me, once or twice. With people talking during the movie and end up speaking out be quiet, but I guess I don't know what was the audience like seeing the film, was there any, because of course it's a part musical as well, were people singing to the songs or
no,
or they were just watching
not
it
at all,
yeah.
which
okay
which was great in my opinion. I was bouncing in my chair and, kind of lip syncing along to myself, but everyone was really, it was really great. And, even when it started, somehow I got really emotional, and I when the owl comes out and it's flying around and you see the title and everything and just the music, I teared up. I really did. Cause I don't think I'd actually seen Labyrinth on the big screen. But I can remember watching it a ton as a kid, as well as the Dark Crystal, and I got kind of emotional. And then at the end, it kind of dawned on me again, David Bowie's no longer with us, and it was really great to see it. I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Yeah. And I think the 4K Ultra HD release, I believe that it is out in the US, but I know it's coming in Australia around the 5th of October. So probably by the time the episode's out, definitely out, then it should be released. And I think that's a good thing, I guess, with this 4K Ultra HD is most of these sets, they do come with the Blu-ray version as well. So it's like, if you want to sort of, future-proof, get a copy of Labyrinth, and you don't have a 4K Ultra HD, player, then you can always use the Blu-ray to watch the film. So
that really nice Amazon exclusive collector's edition that has the mirrored staircases and whatnot. That's multi-format. I think it comes with the 4K and the regular Blu-ray, and it may come with a regular DVD. I'm not sure, or it could just be that it comes with a digital copy. So
yes, yeah. So,
but it is it is multi-formatted on that one. But then there's do you want to pay $15 for the Blu-ray, or do you want to pay $75 for the collector's edition?
Yes, yeah. I mean, if you're a big fan of Labyrinth, then because it is a nice little box set. But it sort of depends, I guess. If you want just the movie, then by all means get the movie. But if you like, having the extra stuff, and then it's I think it's something to look into, I guess. But yeah. So no, which is cool. And now I guess we'll go to the Podling Village and chat to some of the fan filmmakers and discuss about their time, their visit at the Jim Henson Company with the fan film event screening that happened back in late September. So this month we're discussing about the recent event that happened at the Jim Henson Company, the sort of this fan film event gathering with all the filmmakers and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought just to introduce all the guests that are on the show. So we got the winner of that Dark Crystal fan film contest, Kristin. Kristin, thanks for joining us.
Hello, thanks for having me again.
Yeah, no worries. And I mean, it was great. It was a great time that we chatted a couple episodes on the Trial by Stone podcast about your short film, The Promise, which for listeners, that's what it's. If you go back a couple episodes, you can definitely check that out. And also we have Mr. Mullin, who was runners up in his short film called Secrets. So Mr. Mullin, just want to say thanks for coming on board.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this.
And of course, we've got Joshua, who was also runners up with his short film called The Great Conjunction. So Joshua, I just want to say, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I guess this fan event sort of happened around I think it was late September. I just want to know like how it all went down, and I guess I might start off with you, Kristin. Just sort of how did it sort of happen with being invited to come to the Jim Henson Company?
Oh yeah, so we started at the Creature Shop, which is kind of tucked away now in a hidden location in Burbank. Originally with the Jim Henson Creature Shop Challenge, they made it look like it was still at the Henson Hollywood lot. And so now it's two separate locations. So we met at about 1:30 is when we started the tour, and we had about 45 minutes there at the Creature Shop, which kind of stretched out a little bit more, a little longer than 45 minutes. It was kind of hard to squeeze it all in, but it was pretty exciting to arrive. We got there a little early, and we waited in the waiting room, the tiny little waiting room. They tried to fit like almost 30 of us in there, and we were just all so excited. We were meeting each other for the first time, and some of us had met each other on Facebook, and so to put names to faces and that sort of thing, and also names and faces to the films. It was great. It was great to
Now to go back a little bit, did they send you all like a formal invitation in the mail? And I'm assuming that they took care of any kind of airfare, and was it just the day, or did you all have lodging for an evening, or how did that all go down?
For the grand prize, they took care of lodging and travel for myself and a guest. And we did everyone got a formal email invitation. And so it's just like a downloadable PDF that had the whole schedule listed. And if you guys want, we can shoot you a copy of that just so you can check it out. It's, it has the secret creature shop location, so we can't necessarily share that with too many people. But
no, of course, yeah. I mean, we can definitely just black it out. If we wanted to post it publicly, yeah, yes, yeah, of course. And I guess
the whole lot everybody knows.
Yeah, and I guess Joshua, I guess what was interesting because you're actually from Australia, from Melbourne. So how was it, taking on, being invited to go to the Jim Henson Company and going on a long plane flight to join up with everyone?
I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, getting to go to the creature workshop and getting to see all the the stuff they had there. I mean, getting to stand and get a photo next to an original Oscar from Sesame Street, it kind of tripped me out because I'm like, as a baby, I was watching that puppet, and here I am standing next to it right now. So it was pretty cool. Like, I was really excited, and it was a lot of fun, especially coming up with one of the actors from the film, Liam. So we had an absolute ball of a time.
Excellent. And what about yourself, Mr. Mullin? How was the experience for you visiting the Jim Henson Company?
Oh my gosh. Like, as a person who's like made puppets and critters for like as long as I can remember, it was really just like such a tremendous honor to just be invited to the creature shop and to the Hollywood lot too. But I mean, as soon as we got there, someone said it was like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and we were like the kids with the golden tickets. And it really was like that, except for like no one fell in a chocolate river or turned into a blueberry or anything. But I know that I was like a kid in a candy store, because I mean, it's like the Henson Group is known for like that Henson hospitality, and they were just, for being such a big company, they took the time to learn everyone's names and treat everybody with like so much respect. It was all like we were kind of like old friends, showing up. And I mean, I guess I could say it was a mystical experience. But while we were in the creature shop, we did get to meet a few of the Skeksis from the Dark Crystal. They had the Chamberlain there and the Scroll Keeper, so it was kind of fun. I got a selfie with both of them, so that was great. And they also had the actual Gelfling wall set up, and we could get our pictures in front of that, and that was really, really cool.
No, that sounds fantastic. Yeah, I think like even myself, like I would love to see the Gelfling ruin, the Wall of Destiny.
Oh, you would have loved it. It was insane to see it in person. I think I'm still in shock from the whole experience. But it was just the props to see them up close. It's just the care and the detail is just beautiful.
Now, did you all meet anybody, any of the big wigs of the Jim Henson Company, like Brian Henson and Lisa and Cheryl? Were any of those there?
Who wants to? I can answer, or somebody else. I guess. I'll go ahead and let you know. So when we were at the creature shop, we got to meet Peter Brook, who is the head of the creature department. I believe creature development, and we did get to see Brian Henson. He was sitting in his office when we all took a tour through. We didn't necessarily get to meet him personally, but he did address the group at the screening, and he thanked us all for being there, and he told us what a lovely job we all did with our films. And we did get to do sort of a more personal meet and greet with Lisa Henson. Unfortunately, Cheryl couldn't make it since she was traveling back to the East Coast. But yeah, Lisa Henson actually got to hang out for a bit after the screening and during the cocktail hour. And so anybody could just come up and chat with her, ask questions, anything like that. She was very, very open to talk to, very cool. I mean, I got to chat with her for a few minutes as well, and especially right after the showing. It was lovely. So, and a lot of the other employees were there as well.
Now, you said cocktail hour. Did they serve Essence there? No.
No, no, it was wine and a few, I think, ciders and beer. It was really nice. I was too busy floating around talking to everybody, though, to really drink. But
yeah, it sounds really good about the event that sort of went down, and I guess and what was what was it like sort of and there was also the screening of all of some of the fan films that were shown. I guess we've probably all seen them many times on the Jim Henson Company's the YouTube page. But what was it like? Yeah, just seeing them again, sort of on the big screen down there at the Jim Henson Company. I might start with you, Mr. Mullin. What was that like for you?
Okay, well, it's the same screening room that is in the Sci-Fi the Creature Shop Challenge show, I believe. And when they're like little, watching them on YouTube and the competition is going on, because they posted them before they announced the winners, so I'm sure everybody was kind of like watching. Everybody who participated was eagle-eyeing them and picking them apart and things. But it was really nice to just sit down with everybody, because everybody is such fans of it. And even though the lights were like dimmed, it was really cool because when each person's short film came up, you got to see everybody just kind of light up, and people were able to say a couple words about their film or kind of take credit for it after we watched each one. But it was a really nice opportunity to just sit back and really just kind of take them in and listen to the music and listen to the words and just really see like the amazing creatures that people built and performed.
Yeah, I think like that's probably one of the great things about like with this Dark Crystal fan film contest. Yeah, was just the amount of work that everyone put in towards with the with creating these creatures and sort of bringing them to life in a way, which was all fantastic, and each film was very unique or different, which sort of expands, I guess, that sort of world of the Dark Crystal a bit more in the fandom way.
Well, I was just going to say that was probably one of my favorite parts of all the little fan films, was that a lot of people really looked at the movie, the film, The Dark Crystal, and what they took from that was that there was this whole little background world that was created. So a lot of them had these little montages where they had little extra background creatures that were seen and part of the action and the scenery. And I really liked how a lot of the filmmakers added that to the film.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess I guess, Josh, we might as well maybe talk a little bit about your film, The Great Conjunction. So I guess like how did that all sort of come about for you to make The Great Conjunction?
So essentially, I keep forgetting how I actually found out about the competition. I think somebody linked me on Facebook, and they were like, "Oh, you should check this out." I remember at the time I was really busy, so I'm like, "Oh yeah," it was still quite a while away. I think it was September. I think when I heard about it, I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll get around to it." Closer to the date. And then I realized it was a couple of weeks before it was due. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got this competition I should probably be doing. So I kind of scrambled, trying to figure out, what I wanted to do story wise. And I've always had a thing for kind of like origin stories. So I originally was playing with an idea of kind of, doing a short based on the Urskex, on their homeworld, kind of like essentially before they got banished to Thra, and it was going to about them planning, about their great plan, and then them getting, it would end with them getting banished. But now I thought, I probably didn't have enough time to make so many, costumes and that kind of stuff. So I'm like, I'll limit it down to like two creatures, which is great. So origin wise, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. How about one of the Urskex kind of arrives a little bit earlier before the others, before they meet up with Aughra, and I can have a little bit of a interaction. So it was essentially like a first contact story for me, and yeah, I mean, I love that kind of stuff, and I kind of got to play with a few concepts that because it was prior to the film, I could kind of make up some stuff to add my own into the Dark Crystal world. So yeah.
I was just going to say I did have a couple of questions. Had you read the creation myths before you had come up with your concept for the story? Okay.
No, so funnily enough, I tried to do as much research as I could just from what was online, and it's been the one thing that got me was the dream fasting itself. So in my short, we had that the dream fasting was a gift from the Urskex to the Gelflings. But then in the creation myths, it was that they had it from beforehand. But yeah, I wanted to get my hands on it, but there just wasn't enough time. But yeah, I wish I would.
Now, did the Gelfling, did she have a prosthetic kind of face at the very beginning?
She did, yeah.
Okay, because I noticed that she really did have that Gelfling kind of facial nose feature. And I love that little waterfall scene. And I really like that. And the greenish tint to the hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we actually went through 3 different facial prosthetics. So the first one didn't turn out super great. So that's why the waterfall was okay because she was pretty far away. So you couldn't see issues with it. But then when we did it close up, we weren't able to use it. So we had a second one done, but because we just didn't have enough time, it wasn't really made to look like a Gelfling. I think it looked more like a Who from Dr. Seuss books, which it didn't really fit. So then I decided, look, we don't have enough time, so we'll go without the prosthetic for the rest of the shoot. And yeah, I think I was pretty happy with doing it that way in the end. But yeah, no, the waterfall. That was pretty fun to get down to and to film that. It was good because usually there's a lot of tourists there, so I was pretty happy that when I got there was 2 people up the top of the waterfall smoking pot, and that was about it. So I was pretty happy. They were kind of laughing. They were watching the whole time, just laughing at us, and I'm like, guys, go away, go smoke somewhere else. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Now, a lot of people notice that you have a black Urskex. Or your Urskex are a black color. Can you explain that? At first I was thinking, well, maybe it's because he's hurt, and then I thought, well, the other one is black too, and he's not hurt, but maybe it's just because they're not near a crystal, and that maybe their glowing power is also fed by the power of the crystal or a crystal.
Yeah.
So do you have a?
Yeah. So there was a reasoning for it. So essentially, the original of the film is 12 minutes long. One that you guys have seen, I think, is 5 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that. I think because there was a cutoff with the length of the film. Yeah, I think it's
5:20, 5:24, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously there was more than half the film was cut. Essentially, so there was 2 reasons for it. One, I was planning because the Urskex was hurt. In the research I'd done, I'd found that the Urskex would change their color depending on their mood. When they got really angry, they would become darker, and there was a fluctuation in color based on their moods. And what I was planning on doing, because he was hurt, I was planning on having there were moments in the original story which I had to cut out where he would kind of lash out at Gelfling, and then he would it was showing that thing of that imbalance between trying to control the anger and the serenity, leading to that whole thing of the break later on where they break into the Kexies and the Duru. But essentially, so I was going to animate. So I started with the darker color, and then I was going to animate it lighter and darker as I needed to fluctuate. But obviously, just once again, based on time, I wasn't able to do it. And then when I had to cut it down, I just ended up cutting all the bits where he was getting angry out.
Right, because that is essentially why they're banished, because they can't balance their emotions. So that's why they're
it's very interesting stuff. And I guess with yourself, Mr. Mullin, how did you go about with deciding to make secrets?
Okay, well, in the film, Agra dumps out that whole box of crystals, and she's like, "You want a shard? Here, take a shard." And so it's we don't know where all of those different crystals came from, and I thought that would be a cool starting point to kind of go from. But the secrets behind the scenes of secrets were, I mean, like, I learned about the competition really late. I had no knowledge that these competitions were really happening. And then when I finally did stumble across it, I was like, oh no, I missed it. And because there were only like 20 days left of it. And I was like, oh, come on, self, you have to be able to pull this off, because there's not that many like puppet short films that come up. So I started my I think I can going. And I've never made like a replica puppet of like another artist's work before. I usually design my own, I do my own creations and critters. And so tackling a character like Agra was like a challenge for sure. Her look is so iconic, and I wanted to get her as close as I could to how she appeared on the film. So I went online and I found as many pictures of her as I could, and I counted the wrinkles, like on her forehead and under her eyes and things. I looked at the textures. I looked at the texture of her horns, the texture of her clothes. But the thing that I found was that they used multiple puppets when they were filming, and they're not all 100% identical, because they needed, they come out differently, and they need ones to allow for different facial expressions and things. So I did have to take some artistic liberties, but in the end, I did think that it ended up being an all right job of her. And I definitely took more liberties on the clothes, because if you look at like pictures of her, especially the ones exhibited, of her being exhibited at museums and like the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta, and like a lot of these pictures are posted on like the Dark Crystal Facebook groups, and you can really see like the incredible detail that went into her dress and into her shawl. But the outfit I designed is probably more like her traveling dress. I guess Agra might have a closet full of like only red dresses and black shawls. But, yeah. So in the short time we had, we were able to make 5 puppets. Agra, the owl and turtle fellow that Cheryl Henson, who was a judge on the competition, she said that she really liked the owl and the turtle. And
was that the four-eyed black owl? Is that what that was?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Thanks.
You had a really good use of all those little like background creatures and how Agra kind of interacted with them. I like that. And with the time that you had, I think you did a really great job. I didn't know you only had 20 days, and with the work that you did on that, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because even I was just watching it right just in the background, and just just the amount of work that you did, especially like with Volgra and those background creatures. Just amazing work within the short time that you had to pull it off. So no, well done.
Yeah, it was a short time, and we wanted to do it all with I was really passionate about doing all practical effects, because that's just kind of like in the spirit of those 80s fantasy films. So everything, I mean, other than like maybe the title secrets coming across at the beginning, but like, I don't know if you can even count that, but everything within the film is practical.
How did you make the shard glow like that, with that purpley glow?
There's a light underneath of it.
Oh, okay.
Because what we did is there was like a little hollow in that, I think it's on a log, and we put like a light underneath of it that could, it was out and then it would light up, and then we kind of covered the hole up and then very carefully set the crystal on top and just did it that way.
Well, if I can go back to Troy's film, that whole question of the where the shard, or which one was the true shard and whatnot. I'm kind of the nerdling of the group. I just for listeners' purpose, what had happened was when the Skeksis found out about the prophecy, they fabricated a bunch of false shards and scattered them along the landscape. And so the Gelfling and maybe even the Podlings, as they would find them, they would take them to Agra. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
That's a really cool fact.
But I do like how she just happens to be in your film. She just happens to be the one that actually did find the real one, and she had this vision, and she wasn't quite sure if it was the real one or not.
Yeah, it's still it's kind of, originally I had more of it, a bigger vision for what secrets would be, and making it sort of like more of a nightmare of Agra's. But I think that it still kind of works in the way that it is, and from what you just described. And it's cool that like you are the nerdling, because it's like the more I learn about this and the more little tidbits, it's like, if they do have another competition of some kind, it's like I'm going to use all of this information to put it into whatever they come up and make us do next.
That's fantastic. And I guess back to the event, I know, you all had an opportunity to chat with Lisa. Was there sort of like any questions that you sort of, asked her? I don't know whether it's about the Dark Crystal or the films or anything, on the event. I might start with you, Kristin.
Well, oddly enough, I decided to take one of the bean bags towards the front of the screening room with my friend Sarah, who helped on the film, and Lisa came in a little bit later, right as we were starting into the first film, and she sat right next to me the entire time. So I was a little nervous at first, but I was like, this is going to be great. And they ended the screening with my film, and so I had a chance to like, as soon as the film was done, she turned to me and we had a conversation. And it was very, I remember fragments of it. I was just so excited to meet her. And just recalling it now, I didn't get a chance to really talk to her about the Dark Crystal as much. It was more or less that she had a few questions about our creatures, and about, whether or not I had a chance to talk to Peter Brook, which I did. And, just, she was interested actually in like what our day jobs were. I guess she had gone around and asked a few people, she said it was so interesting, that what people do, as their day job, and it's so radically different from what our passion is with puppetry and creature design and creature building. And that's when I told her, that this is something that I'm definitely interested in and I want to pursue a career in one day. And she had complimented the costuming on my puppet, and that was it for me. I was like over the moon. But no, it was just, she was genuinely interested in, I think for her, really what she was impressed by was the amount of puppets we had in our film. And some of the other employees as well, they just were like, wow, they just keep coming, they just keep popping up. And and for us, that was so important. We wanted to try to recreate that world, and she did say that we did a good job in recreating the world of the Dark Crystal. And so that was very nice. It was a huge compliment, and I was just so honored, and I again, talking about it now, I just can't even believe that we were able to go and tour and have that experience and tour the Henson Company and the Creature Shop. I think it kind of feels a little bit like a dream, very surreal. But yeah, I wish, it just, things sometimes like that happen so quickly, and there's a lot of interruptions and everybody's excited and you're meeting all these new people, that I wish that I could go back and have like a little more of a longer conversation about the film in general, and about what it is, what it's like to work on a production there, or work for the Henson Company and that sort of thing. I think Cheryl, had we got to meet her, she probably would have been a better person to tap into, like her knowledge of the film behind the scenes, because she actually got to be there with her father, with Jim Henson, working on the Dark Crystal. So I think, and I think also, like with Brian Henson, his experience working on the Labyrinth, and I think for Cheryl, that's her baby, the Dark Crystal. So yeah, hopefully, when I go to FairyCon in November, she'll be doing a panel there, and I believe I'll get to do a panel with her discussing the fan film. We'll see if it all works out. I think we're still kind of working those kinks out, but then that would be nice if I get to meet her, and then we can touch base again. And if you have any questions I can forward to her, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting, yeah, if they'll do any more of, future contests with darkcrystal.com, which I certainly hope that, might happen. I guess, with next year being the 35th anniversary of the film, so I think anything can happen, I guess, yeah.
Well, it was definitely a heck of a lot of fun. So, I mean, meeting everyone, and it was so awesome being, in a room with everyone who, everyone who had a passion for the Dark Crystal and for everything the Jim Henson Company's, been doing. It was just really great creative energy between everyone, and it was a lot of fun.
Gonna say, yeah, that it was great to catch up with everybody, and a few of us actually had a chance to hang out afterwards, and we went to a shout out to Clay, yeah, I know. And Dave, who did Dude, Where's My Shard? I loved his. We were trying to get the whole group, and we were hoping to do puppet karaoke, but it was kind of hard, to herd everybody over to try to find a karaoke bar at that point. But we ended up just going up the street to a local bar and just hanging out, catching up, making those connections. I think it's really important to have that sense of community. I know that some of us are, Australia and all over the country here in the US and stuff. And but it's still nice. It still felt like we were building this kind of community or family of artists, and that we all have a similar interest and passion. And it all starts with the Dark Crystal. And I think that's wonderful. And so we were just having a blast hanging out, talking about, how, like, our process, how long it took us to make our films, that sort of thing, and just getting to know each other. I think I could, and I'll say for myself, it was a little bit overwhelming because I wanted to be able to have a sit-down conversation with everybody, but I felt like, at times, it's just kind of trying to take a breather from everything that happened that day, just sitting down and processing. But no, I felt like I at least got to catch up, even at least for a few minutes, with everybody. But I'm not sure if for Josh or for other folks, like, how it was for them. But yeah, I could say it was great for me.
That's awesome. And what about you, with yourself, Mr. Mullin? Any final thoughts? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was like over the moon because, like, growing up, I had like customized my own Dark Crystal folder for school, and with Dark Crystal and Labyrinth with a big David Bowie in the middle of it, and I thought I was the only one, and nobody had heard.
I thought I was.
Yeah, I thought, and nobody had really heard of it, and to go and meet people who share the same interests and to find your tribe, so to speak, was really cool. It was cool to swap secrets and talk about our films and then hang out afterwards and kind of, intermingle with everybody, see everybody's puppets too, because, you see them on film, but then when you see them in person, you really get to look at all the fine details. And once again, I think I said this before, but I mean, just such amazing work. I mean, the shoes.
Oh, so you all actually brought your props and things, what you could along?
I brought Kristin and Peaky with me from our film.
Now is his name, it's similar to your name for a reason? No.
I was afraid of that too, and that was like not intentional at all. And I was like, oh no, it sounds like my name. But we were having such a tough time coming up with names, and really it wasn't until after the film that we really developed his personality, and Arden's as well. And I mean, because we had to rush, it took us about a month and a half to build these creatures from the ground up and film everything and edit. So it was pretty intense.
I really liked your Landstrider type creatures, because I've always wanted to do a stilt type 4-legged creature, and I had this idea that I talked to Philip about on a previous podcast, where I always thought it would be neat if there was somehow Landstriders that were either drained of essence or darkened to the point where they're kind of like a gray black, and then they have like red kind of weird eyes or something, and kind of aid the Skeksis somehow, or the Garthim. And I really liked how you did have that big montage of all the background creatures, and you really did capture that world. And I believe that's why you were the winner. Yeah, I really did enjoy all of that, and how you had the castle there at the end, and how he was, I promised, and this is my promise, and you know.
It was, it was so touching. And one of the things we're shooting ourselves in the foot about is that Peaky is the little gray critter that keeps popping up in the montage. And
that he feeds.
That he feeds, yeah. And that was a happy accident. That was supposed to be a little button at the end of the credits. And we thought, wouldn't it have been great if Peaky could pop up at the end, like he had made a friend on his little journey, you know? And we're like, why didn't we think of that sooner? But no, I wanted to just circle back, and then we'll go back to Mr. Mullin. Sorry, he was in the middle of talking about the creatures that we brought, but to just touch on that real quick about the creatures becoming darker, or their essence being drained. What I liked, what we did in our film in particular, is that, and I'm sure it's kind of hard to explain that in a montage, but as Tristan's on his journey, the creatures are dark. And kind of more, you know, they're not, he's not in that lush green environment anymore, because he's getting closer and closer to the castle. And so that's kind of what we wanted to show. That's why they're a little darker, gothic, you know, creepier looking.
That actually goes along with the actual mythology of the Dark Crystal, because I don't know if any of you all have read The World of the Dark Crystal, which contains the Book of Algra, but she mentions how after the crystal is cracked and it darkens, all these strange and dark creatures started to appear and evolve in a sense. So that does go along with the mythology.
That's great. Yeah, I have to go back and read all of that. It's so much, and now with the new books as well, I love that the world is expanding. It's wonderful.
Absolutely, yeah. We certainly got a lot to look forward to when it comes to all things Dark Crystal. I guess, you know, with the young adult novel from J.M. Lee, the 4 book series, and potentially some more graphic novels from Arcade Entertainment for next year. So yeah, lots to look forward to. That's for sure.
Well, even Josh, your film kind of goes along with how we've got all these new novels and stories, and how the background and the prequel is kind of being expanded and written. Whereas in your film, the Gelfling actually says, well, you add to the song throughout the ages, whereas sometimes that story has to change. And so she kind of changes the song. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I thought, oh, that's just like how it is now. Like they're adding to the canon, you know?
Yeah, true.
Yeah. That's
now
awesome.
we just all have to team up and make one big movie.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. We should all get together and pitch the sequel to the Jim Henson Company. We're like, yeah, we're set.
Absolutely. I think that would be great. I was secretly hoping for that maybe they were scouting for new talent, and that, you know, we would all get invited to work on the next film. But, you know, hey, it's a pool of talented artists right there, you know. So.
Yep.
Well, Troy was going to talk about like bringing the creatures along and seeing everyone's puppets and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I mean, I personally didn't bring any of my critters along with me, because I didn't want to pay for an extra ticket on the plane to get them there, because I'm cheap. But the creatures that were there were just phenomenal. I mean, that Freeling shoes, because you don't get to see like the up close details, but like everything is just the shoes on the Freeling were just so well done. And you know, I'm not going to remember everybody's puppet, and everybody's probably listening will be listening to this podcast, and they were all fantastic. But I do to single one out. They had Twiggly there from the short film about Twiggly taking care of the little larva characters.
Yes,
and
that was so cute.
Yeah, and that it's
I like
Twiggly's Battle. Yeah, is the name. Yeah,
Twiggly's yes.
I liked how that was like it was like a Muppet set. The way that film was shot, I really liked that, and the way his whole set was put together.
Yeah, they had that there, and they showed us how they had like the remote control, and they operated him for us there with all of the servos and everything, and it was really cool to see that. And they had a cast of like his head with like the latex piece too that we could kind of look at separately, and that one was really a standout because they had it kind of set up on a table, and we all kind of gathered around to see it come to life.
Yeah, it was amazing. I loved seeing him up close.
Well, that's what I like about animatronics is that not only do you have so much movement and detail, but a lot of people don't realize the intricate things that even we do ourselves when we turn our head or look somewhere. Like a lot of people blink as they turn their head before they actually look, or the eyes will move before you turn your head. And a lot of people, it's so second nature that no one thinks of it or realizes it. But when you actually puppeteer it and try to bring that reality there's so much detail that's involved. Now, you had mentioned, Kristin, you had mentioned that you all started out at the Creature Shop. Did you all actually go to the Jim Henson Company, the offices and whatnot, and take a tour there as well? Because I know they have a lot of stuff displayed at the actual company. Okay.
They gave us, I believe, about 45 minutes to commute back to the Hollywood lot, with LA traffic being as crazy as it is at that time. So we were running a little behind, and that was to be expected, but they were nice enough to wait till everybody was able to get there and park, and we met up in the courtyard, and then they split our group up into two groups of about 15, and they took us through I believe it's the Charlie Chaplin studio, or it's like the large lot there, and they were.
Is the Kermit statue still there, just as Charlie Chaplin?
Yes. Oh. Yeah, he's there, and it's like kind of that like cottage kind of, those like cottage buildings in the front. Mm-hmm. And
now that courtyard, is that where most of those pictures were taken that they posted on the Dark Crystal Facebook page and whatnot?
Yes, yeah, that was right there where it says the Jim Henson Company with the bench and everything, and then and so we got to tour the main reception area. That's where they had a few things on display. They had another Skeksis there. They had one of the giant monster heads from Where the Wild Things Are, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And the hollow puppets and Dino from the Flintstones. It was just amazing to see all of that up close. And then we got to tour through Brian Henson's office.
Oh, he's got some stuff in there. Like I think, doesn't he have the clappers like from the Dark Crystal? Like,
he had the shelf that everything was displayed on was. I wanted to just take the whole thing. I was oh man, it was gorgeous. I mean, it was all I believe like all hand carved wooden shelf, a huge display. He had the original like Art Deco style desk, Jim Henson's desk and chair. And Lisa Henson has the other desk that belonged to Jim Henson in his New York office, I want to say, or UK. I'm not sure. Because one was from the New York office and the other one was, I believe, from the UK. And I took a peek into the other office and I was just jaw drop, like it was great. And I think he had a couple of pieces from the Dark Crystal, a couple of the weapons, or one, I don't know if it was one of the Mystic Staffs that was cleaning the wall. Yeah, Josh, do you remember that?
Yeah, there was a Mystic Staff, and then the other one was from Labyrinth, I think. I don't remember what it was, though, from Labyrinth. It was another kind of weapon/staff thing.
Yeah, it was amazing. And a few of the original bottles, props from the Dark Crystal hanging out on the windowsill behind him. And I just, yeah, it was so exciting to see all of that up close.
Now, I hear that they let employees bring their dogs to the offices. Did they have a lot of dogs coming around, or did you all notice? Or I don't know if they still do that.
Yeah, oddly enough, there was one in someone's office. They had a little doggy gate up. I had to go into Celine's office to leave my puppets in a safe place while we were taking the tours, and someone did have their dog in their office.
Oh, did anybody get to sit in one of the Skeksis chairs? Because I know they have one at the offices at the Jim Henson Company.
No,
no.
They either, because I know what you mean. I've seen the photos, and when we went into the conference room at the Creature Shop, we didn't see the Skeksis chair. Or I don't know if they moved it to the Henson lot, maybe.
I think it's in the corner of one of the rooms or halls of the Henson lot, but I'm not sure. I've never been. So,
do you know what specific chair it is?
It's one of the chairs that the Skeksis sit in the dining scene.
The banquet.
Oh, okay.
In the feast, yeah, the banquet scene.
The other day, I got a text message from my brother who was like sitting in the throne from the castle, which was in a storage place. I forget.
Oh,
I forget
wow.
what he said he was, but he ran into it because he was looking for props because he goes to Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and they were looking through different things, and I guess he ran into that, and so he was sure to text me and brag about it a little bit.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That throne is just so ornate and beautiful. I love that throne.
So again, I just want to say thank you so much, Kristin, Josh, and Mr. Mullin for participating in this fan film roundtable. And I guess, and also I just want to know, I guess for any of the listeners, Kristin, how can people find you?
On social media, you can find me on my official Facebook page, and it's just going to be my full name. I think you can also find it at KD Creature Design, but yeah, it's just going to be my full name, which of course my last name is a little bit difficult the spelling, but it's Kristin, and then my last name Daleske, Dalleske. And if you do a Google search, you'll find my IMDb page, you'll find my website, and I just started a Twitter. I'm really bad about social media. I need to get better about it. So it's going to be, I believe it's also KD Creature. So.
Okay, and you also got a website as well?
It's going to be, it's wix.com and then / KD Creature Design. And I think I tried to change it. So it used to be costume design, and I'm trying to change it back to creature design. But,
all right, gotcha, yeah. Cool. And what about yourself, Josh? How can people find you online?
Yep. So you can you can Google my name or check out the website. So if you head to the website, that's www.cinestudios.com.au. Cine as CINE, studios with an S at the end. Otherwise, just Google my name and something should link to something somewhere.
Excellent. And what about yourself, Mr. Mullin? How can people find you?
You can visit me at www.mullinentertainment.com, and that's MULLIN, and then entertainment, the way it's spelled. Or you can find Mullin Entertainment on our official Facebook page. And right now we are actually hosting a giveaway to celebrate being a runner-up winner of the Dark Crystal fan film competition. And you can enter our Facebook page, or you can come to our Facebook page and enter to win a set of the Funko Pop figures, which are it's the Dark Crystal set, which includes Agra, Jen, Ursula the Chanter, the Chamberlain, and then that rare Chase variant of Kira with the closed mouth fez gig. So all you have to do is like the Mullin Entertainment page on Facebook and then comment on our initial post with what you thought of our film Secrets. So hopefully that contest is still going on by the time this airs, and a winner will be announced around the end of October. So that's very exciting, and that's Mullin, Mullin Entertainment, and that's our official Facebook page.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mullin, and I'll add that onto the show notes or all the websites and stuff for people to check it out. So yeah, I guess thank you all for participating in this Dark Crystal fan film roundtable.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was great meeting you all. Thank you.
You've already taken too long, Gelfling. Hurry!
At last, the crystal calls. It is time to return to the castle.
The crystal calls! To the crystal chamber!
So that's all the time that we have for this month's Trial by Stone. Just want to say a big thanks to Kristin, Joshua, and Mr. Mullin for participating in the fan film roundtable. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can email us at darkcrystalpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/darkcrystalpodcast or on Twitter at trialbystonepod. If you like the show and think that others would like it too, then please spread the word and even give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We'd gladly appreciate it. Well, I hope you'll enjoy the show and come back next month for more Trial by Stone. And as always, may the crystal protect us all.
May the crystal protect you on your journey.